Welcome to the SGA Election Candidates Forum for the 2013-2014 election. My name is Colton Bradford, and I will be the moderator for tonight's event. In the next hour, we hope to give you an in-depth look at the candidates for our campus's student government. Tonight, we will interview candidates for the offices of Attorney General, Treasurer, Chief Justice, Vice President, and President. They will have 1 minute to respond to said question, and then opposing candidates will have 30 seconds to respond to that same question. When the candidate's time is up, they will hear this sound, and they will be cut off. After the candidates have answered the questions, we will turn to social media and to our student audience for questions. Each candidate will have 30 seconds to respond to these questions while again hearing this sound when they are cut off. The first position we are going to examine is that of the Attorney General. The Attorney General is responsible for the SGA connections with the STARS Committee and the Higher Education Program. Today's candidates are Danielle Watson and Thomas Pearson.
Danielle, if you will please pick a question for us. This one? Okay. One of the main duties of Attorney General is working closely with the Higher Education Partnership. How familiar are you with the Higher Education Partnership in Alabama? Have you had any past experience with their lobbying efforts? You have 1 minute to respond.
Okay, I'm pretty familiar with them. I was on SGA this current year, and I was able to work alongside with Zach and see what all he did with the Higher Education Day. And I was able to see different representatives with there and able to get to know them and see basically what the job is. So I'm pretty familiar with what I would have to do and my responsibilities and my duties to do so as well.
Thank you. Thomas, you have 30 seconds to respond.
As far as Higher Education Day directly, I have not worked with it before, nor have I been to it. I was unable to make it this year. But I do know several congressmen personally from the state that I can work with who've done Higher Education Day before, so I can speak with them and Zach and other people to help me to make it better than it has been in the past few years.
Thank you. And Thomas, this question is directed at you. Many students are familiar with the Higher Education Lobbying Day that occurs in the spring semester. What type of programming would you introduce to increase lobbying efforts throughout the school year?
Primarily, the lobbying efforts I would try to do would be to gain the interest of local congressmen, our local mayors, senators, that can touch base with us during the semester, not just for Higher Education Day when we go to Montgomery, but all through the school year, getting them talking with us, maybe set up a couple events, some cookouts, things like that, just simple events to get them to interact with some of our student body, to let them know that we do care about how much we pay for our education and that we would greatly appreciate any donations that anybody could give to help us with that.
Danielle, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I agree with him as going along with the congressman and going to get involved with them, but I would actually also get involved more with the student body because I do know that many students do not know what Higher Education Day is. So by going through that, we can promote, throughout the school, and we never know. Many students may know other congressmen that we're not able to reach out to or able to help with. So basically go through the students' social media sites throughout the university and such.
Thank you. Now we do have a question from social media here. Philip Bell on Facebook says that the JAG-TRAN routes are a little outdated, especially for the engineering students. What is your opinion on this, and how would you change it? Thomas, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I think with the addition to Shelby Hall, it has put a major stress on parking as well as the JAG-TRAN system, since the buildings were on completely different sides of the campus now from where they used to be. And going through and mapping out where the JAG-TRANs currently run and trying to update that system, it would not be very difficult to do. Just simply change the routes a little bit, change the colors around, get them to drive more frequently by Shelby Hall, by the larger buildings where more students spend their time instead of spending time around other buildings.
Danielle, you have 30 seconds to respond.
Yes, I do believe we need to have more routes throughout the campus, seeing that there are more buildings that are being added onto, such as Shelby Hall. So we do need more routes for that, as well as, changing up the system a little bit. The different, a lot of people are congregated in the student center area. We can move some of those back. I know we used to have one between the student center and humanities, spread out the areas, because it is a large congregation in one area, and it's too many students to be able to even fit on one JAG train.
Thank you, Danielle and Thomas. Those were our candidates for Attorney General. When we come back, we'll take a closer look at the Treasurer.
Oh, sweetheart. Gonna give you a hand?
No thanks, Dad. I got it.
Okay. I'm gonna go fix the lamp in your room.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
2 outs with a runner on first base. Now the big guy comes up to bat, hitting .342 with 92 RBIs and 36 homers. First pitch is out.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Hi, my name's CJ. A few years ago, my father became seriously ill. I did what I could do before he passed, but it took its toll. I lost my job, my house. I'm getting back on my feet, but I don't know when there'll be food on the table. How'd I do, CJ?
We could be twins.
Well, cousins, maybe.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Lead paint poisoning affects 1 million children today. If you're pregnant or have young children and your home was built before 1978, you could be at risk. Learn how to protect your family. To find your home's danger zones, the health effects, or just to find help, log on to leadfreekids.org.
Welcome back. The next office we are going to interview is the Treasurer. The Treasurer is responsible for keeping an up-to-date journal and file account balances. Additionally to this position, must file all requisitions and direct pay forms with their supporting documentation, as well as report all account balances to the Senate. This year, Sydney Jackson is running unopposed for the position. So, looks like you got a shoe in. Sydney, will you please choose an envelope? Thank you. Sydney, do you currently have a clear understanding of the appropriations process? What are your thoughts about streamlining it to be more efficient?
I definitely do have a grasp on what the Appropriations Committee does currently. I'm lucky to have lots of great leaders come before me, Senator Ramsey, Will Pearson, that have set up and made the process extremely effective and efficient. The only thing I would add to it, I think, and it's been done but could be done better, is to use all of our outlets of communication with students, Facebook, Twitter, even the Vanguard and everything, to let people know when appropriations are due and that it's time to get money for your organizations, because that is the lifeblood of all the student organizations. And as treasurer, it would be my job to do the best I could to get that money to the students.
How are you fit for this job?
Well, I do have a pretty good amount of past experience with handling money. I was treasurer for my fraternity, which is a very big job. We also do very similar things like, set up budgets, appropriate money for good causes and stuff like that. Also, I'm an accounting major, so, the bookkeeping side of that, creating financial statements, that's no problem for me to do in a very professional and timely manner.
Okay, thank you. Now we turn to the student audience and Facebook and Twitter. Stuart, will you hand me a social media question? Thank you. A student wants to know, who's going to remain anonymous, how can we know you're trustworthy with our money?
Well, honestly, I mean, beyond just reassuring the student body that I'm a trustworthy guy, I think it's important to understand that there are a lot of different, checks and balances within the treasurer and the SGA. It's not, like an open checkbook type thing. Really, the opportunity is not even there to take money. And I guess I should just take this time to assure the student body that my only goal in this position is to, again, get money to the student organizations.
Thank you, Sydney. And when we come back, the heat begins. Colin Al Green and Vikash Pernickel will debate for Chief Justice. We'll be right back right after this.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 110. I'm Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism.
Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Mom, can we get some ice cream?
Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you are really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov.
Ever wonder who's over those parking ticket appeals? Well, the answer is the SGA Chief Justice. However, the Chief Justice does much more than work closely with SGA parking services and the student traffic ticket appeals. This officer supervises the activities of all judicial courts and keeps up-to-date copies of the Student Government Association Constitution and Code of Laws. This year's candidates are Colin Al Green and Vikash, I said this wrong earlier, Pernickel, correct? Awesome. Make sure that you guys have the microphones. Welcome, guys. Colin, would you please start us off by choosing an envelope? Colin, parking has been identified as an issue on campus, and according to Facebook, a big issue. What regulation changes do you think would be beneficial to the university?
First off, I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. As far as parking goes, one of the main things I think that can be improved on is improving the JAG-TRAN system. Currently, a lot of people have stated that it's quicker to walk than it is to take the JAG-TRAN. So I think if it was a more effective system, more people would be willing to use that and leave their cars parked at a separate location, and that would cut down a lot on the traffic problems. Thank you.
Vikash, you have a 30-second response.
I agree with Colin, but I feel like the SGA has done as much as they can. Now it's on the administration's part. But I feel like when you go to a park, there's 30 or 40 faculty spots that are empty. So I feel like maybe doing a study on how many faculty spots are actually being used, and maybe transferring those over to student parking spots, if they're not being used, of course, would be a good idea.
Thank you. Vikash, would you please choose an envelope? Vikash, the Chief Justice is the interpreter of the lowdown. Do you feel as though you have served on SGA long enough or have become well enough acquainted with the lowdown to fulfill this duty, and why?
I have not served in SGA so far, but I have looked at the lowdown, and I'm going to progressively read it more and more and understand it well. I'm definitely not going to take this position before I'm 100% confident with it. So I definitely plan on interpreting it, and if I have trouble interpreting it, ask past Chief Justices and maybe get some of their input about it.
Okay. Colin, you have a 30-second.
This is one area where I'm very comfortable with. Since my freshman year, I've served with the Student Government Association all throughout my undergraduate career, and I've served in every capacity as Vice President, Chief Justice, President. And when I was Chief Justice and Vice President, I not only edited the lowdown, but also served in the office of Chief Justice throughout my junior year. So I'm very comfortable that I'll be able to fulfill the duties.
Thank you. All right. Since you just went, we'll throw this question back to you, Vikash. This question comes from Facebook, and I quote, "Can someone please propose the building of a freaking parking garage?" That's from Catherine Stalvey. Vikash, what do you have to say about this?
Well, of course, if you ask 10 students what their biggest problem with the South, it's going to be the parking situation. But the SGA and the other student bodies have done as much as they can as far as trying to get something done with the parking. But right now it's all up to the administration. I'm not sure what else we can do except keep badgering them about telling them the parking situation. As far as that, the school's just built a $36 million recreational facility and a brand new engineering building. I don't see why they couldn't build.
Okay. Colin?
Same question.
Can someone please propose the building of a parking garage?
I think as far as a parking garage, that's something they should look at for in the long-term plan of the campus. With us expanding as we are, adding many students every year, I think it's going to be something that's going to be necessary within a few short years. And I believe we do have a good bit of land we haven't developed on, so this could be a good project to look at.
Okay. Colin, I have a question for you as well. Seeing as though you've been a member of SGA in the past, has this been brought up before? A parking garage?
There have been several times where people have brought up a parking garage, and the objection that's always brought up is the cost. So I think that's something that would have to be carefully studied, and a good feasible way to bring that about would have to be designed.
Okay, thank you. And that concludes the forum for Chief Justice. We'll be right back with the candidates for Vice President and President.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Hey, my name's Katie and I'm in the 9th grade. I'm an A average student and I'm an athlete working towards a scholarship. And everybody tells me how much potential I have. But I just wish someone would tell me where my next meal is coming from. Katie, how'd I do?
Do you have to be so serious?
Well, I mean, I did like a crazy dance in a movie if you want me to do a little, no.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Welcome to my block party. Glad you can make it.
The only triple doubles you get come with fries.
Last time you blocked someone, you were online.
I can do this all day. Your moves are just gay.
Using gay to mean dumb or stupid, not cool. Not cool. Not in my house, not anywhere. It's not creative, it's offensive to gay people. And you're better than that.
Earlier this evening, we spoke with the candidates for Attorney General, Treasurer, and Chief Justice. Next, we have the Vice President. This office is responsible for presiding over meetings of the Student Senate and coordinating SGA-related events. Additionally, this officer serves as the editor of the student handbook, The Lowdown. William Pearson is running unopposed for this position in this year's election. Tough year, huh?
Very tough.
Make sure that you hold the microphone up. All right. Will you please choose an envelope? Thank you. Will, one of the main duties of Vice President is to preside over the internal affairs of Senate, including conduct weekly Senate meetings. Do you have an understanding of Robert's Rules of Order, and how would you facilitate the meeting? How so?
Yes, I'm actually very acquainted with Robert's Rules. I'm the president of my current fraternity, and we use that every Sunday in our chapter meetings, as well as I've been on SGA as a senator for 2 years, and then currently serving as the treasurer. I know firsthand how every meeting is run, and Coleman has actually done a pretty good job this past year of making them efficient and keeping circle talk down as much as possible, but I definitely intend to continue that this year.
Okay, thank you. And I like to call these hot seat questions, and I've prepared them for yourself and the candidates who are running for president. Really quickly on the hot seat questions, no one on the JAG TV production team and no one in the room has looked over them. Yours is actually kind of simple though, so I'd like to see what you have to say. All right, your question is, what do you feel is the biggest challenge at the university, and how do you plan to use your role as vice president to impact it?
Well, currently, as I have seen on Facebook the past couple of days, parking has been a pretty big issue. But as far as my office is concerned, I mean, I'm just preside over the Senate. So my main focus right now is getting the student center renovated, getting that complete and open back up. It's going to take a lot of push from the students to influence the administration to get rolling with those renovations. And, you know, we all want a place where we can go hang out in the middle of class or in between classes, I must say.
Okay. The next few questions come from Facebook and Twitter. The first question for you says that they would like to address the issues with lighting, cameras, and other security measures on campus. Also, what are your thoughts on the support of campus concealed to carry?
Honestly, I haven't really thought too much about the concealed to carry. I mean, I personally think that as a school, I don't know how comfortable the majority of students would feel if someone was walking around with a handgun, but myself, I own a gun. But, I mean, if it keeps students safe, then by all means, we need to definitely look out for that.
Okay. You have one more question, actually two questions, both involving the same topic. One from Jonathan Aller, the other from Melvin Dixon. They both involve making the campus wet again. What are your thoughts on making the campus a wet campus again?
I don't actually see a problem with this at all. My only thing would be, personally, I feel that if I was walking around campus and I just saw students, you know, out drinking a beer in the middle of the day, it looks kind of trashy, to be perfectly honest. If we could make our campus wet, you know, Friday and Saturday night, that would entice students to stay around campus, hang out. Other than that, I mean, you know, as long as you're 21, have fun.
All right. Thank you, Will. Tonight's final candidates for president are the Student Government Association's Zach Gosa-Lewis and Riley Davis. And whenever we come back, we'll have them in the hot seat.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Lead paint poisoning affects 1 million children today. If you're pregnant or have young children and your home was built before 1978, you could be at risk. Learn how to protect your family. To find your home's danger zones, the health effects, or just to find help, log on to leadfreekids.org.
You realize that 49 million Americans struggle with hunger? That's 1 out of every 6 Americans.
These people are around us every day. They're our friends, they're our coworkers, their kids go to school with our kids.
Sometimes we're not even aware that they're struggling. This problem is closer than you think. So is the solution.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
The President serves as the official spokesperson for the student government, as well as the supervising authority for the accurate and up-to-date records of SGA events, monies, and inventory. The President also serves as the ex officio on the Board of Trustees and various university committees. This year's candidates include Riley Davis and Zach Gosa-Lewis, both who have served as officers in student government. Welcome to the forum. Riley, would you please pick an envelope? Riley, SGA is the voice of the student body. What are your opinions on transparency of the SGA?
I believe that transparency is incredibly critical to the functioning of the Student Government Association. We are comprised of students to serve the student body, and if we are not transparent, in which the students can see what we're doing, they feel free to ask us questions and to know what's going on, then we are not serving them to the best of our ability. There are some things that do have to be handled within the Executive Council for the strict purposes of running the SGA and keeping things flowing smoothly. But as far as serving the students, it is our duty to be transparent to them, to reach out to them as much as they reach out to us, and to make sure that they feel welcome and that they know what's going on within our group.
Okay. Zach, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
Obviously, transparency is very important. With any organization, with any representative organization, I think that's something that's key with SGA. Besides the obvious things with the financial situations and rulings made by SGA, I think a key part of being transparent goes to the behavior of the president and the actions that the president takes in board meetings and meetings with other student officials. You know, knowing that that person is going to represent you and going to tell the truth and be honest with you at all times, not just as the president, but as a person, and being able to represent the students clearly.
Thank you, guys. Zach, would you please choose an envelope? Zach, as president, you will be expected to be an ex officio member of many committees and interact with many administrators. How would you be effective in working with the administration of South Alabama to get your goals accomplished?
Well, actually, I'm used to it. I've actually been able to, as governmental relations chair, as a senator, and now as attorney general, work with administration quite frequently in setting up Higher Education Day and setting up the legislative luncheon and other events. That's been a very easy transition for me, and I've enjoyed it very much. Also, I've worked with the housing department for 2 years, so I'm very effective in dealing with the housing administration and know the goings-on and able to relay that well to the students. I've also worked with Greek Life for the past 3.5 years, and that's something that I've been able to work with the administration as well, and it's very closely with the Student Activities Office throughout the year.
Okay. Riley, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
Will you repeat the question?
I will. Riley, as president, you will be expected to be an ex officio member of many committees and interact with many administrators. How would you be effective in working with the administration of South Alabama to get your goals accomplished?
I think the primary thing with working with administration is making sure that you know how the students feel, and being able to effectively and clearly express those feelings to the administration. And I want to bring administration to students, and I think that's a critical part of taking the role as the liaison between the student body and the administration, is to bridge that gap and make it to where the administrators are not only hearing it from me, but also the student body.
Okay. And Zach, since you went last, Riley, will you choose another question? Thank you. Bless you. Riley, What role do you think that SGA has in academic success and retention? How would you contribute to this area of SGA?
I think that SGA and the president has a very important role with academic success and retention. I think if SGA shows that academic success and retention is important to us, then we can branch out to our other student organizations. And it's key to get students involved on campus, and that's part of keeping them on campus and in school. And I think it's going to take a lot of teamwork and a lot of motivation, not only from our administration and our faculty and staff, but also from within the student body itself, and encouraging students to encourage other students. I think academic success and retention is a big thing that we face a problem with at South, but I think that with hard work and determination and coming together as a community, administration, faculty, staff, and students, it's something that we can definitely fix.
Okay. Zach, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
I feel that we need to utilize our first-year council more, and I think they've done a fantastic job in this inaugural year of reaching out to their fellow freshmen and being able to relay, that there is help for freshmen out there. And I think a big part of that is the JAGPAL system that we currently have. They do a fantastic job of reaching out and helping these freshmen with their first classes. It's not necessarily a matter of the difficulty of the course, it's time management, and that's something that we need to relay to these freshmen and show them that it's not about just knowing something, it's about being able to manage your time day in and day out.
Okay. And we have one more question. Zach, this question will go to you since Riley took the last one. Zach, where do you see South Alabama in 10 years? How do you see the role of SGA growing and developing with the future vision of South Alabama?
I see South Alabama in the next 10 years in contest with Auburn as the second biggest university in the state. And I definitely feel that that is something we are capable of accomplishing. With the expansion of our athletics programs and the success that they've had in the last few years, I think it's something that we'll see the athletics become a bigger part of the South Alabama community. Also, due to some outreach from the mayor's office and things of that nature, I think Mobile will fully embrace the school more. I think right now there's a clear division between Mobile and the university, and I think that's something in the next 10 years you'll see Mobile become a college town, and that's going to really improve our retention and help kids really see South Alabama and want to come here and be a part of the Jaguar family.
Okay. Riley?
In 10 years, I see South Alabama flourishing. We have made incredible changes and incredible growth over the past 50 years, and I see those continuing within the next 10 years. I think that one of the things, especially with the new focus on team-based learning and collaborative learning, that where I see South in 10 years is really catering to students' needs, giving them the education that fits their learning style, because not every student learns the same way. And I think that's another critical part with academic success and retention, is catering to the students and what they need.
Okay. All right, once again, now we're going to move on to the hot seat questions. And I'd like to remind everyone in the audience and who's watching right now that none of our production team has seen the questions. None of these guys have seen the questions. So, we'll start. Let's start. You just took the last question, correct, Riley? All right, Zach, this question will be for you. Then, Riley, you'll have a 30-second rebuttal. Zach, do you agree with the university's actions in regard to the death of USA student Gil Collar?
I think what happened to Gil was a terrible, terrible travesty. I think it has a lot more to do, not necessarily with the actions of the officers on that night, but just with the problem South Alabama has with students not being able to enjoy themselves on campus. I think if Mr. Collar would have been able to enjoy himself on campus that night, not necessarily that the best decisions were made or that I endorse any of the use of the alcohol or drugs that may or may not have been taken that night, I feel that if he would have been here the whole time, he would have been around an environment that would have protected him.
Okay. I will. Riley, do you agree with the university's actions in regards to the death of USA student Gil Collar?
I agree that the entire event was a tragedy for the USA family. It affects both sides, and both sides were members of the USA family. I think that the university followed appropriate manners. I do not believe that my personal opinion on the situation plays a role in how I express condolences for the situation to the student body. I think it is my position to express unbiased condolences because people are going to think differently, and the most I can say is it was a tragedy.
Okay. Zach, do you agree that Officer Austin should have been added back to the USA Police Force?
Honestly, that's a decision best left to the administration. It's something of an opinion. I actually know Officer Austin. I've had classes with him. As far the main loss I saw with him having to be removed was him losing out on his education, which he was a full-time student at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think he should be allowed to retain that and be a student again. His position as an officer, I think, due to the appropriate treatments that he's received, he is suited to be back at South Alabama.
Okay, Riley.
I agree with South that Zach, sorry, that it is a decision that should be left up to the administration and the police department in and of itself. Given the legal events surrounding it, he was cleared, and I believe that that is enough for him to return back to work. And like Zach said, he was a full-time student here, and he is part of the USA family.
Okay. All right, the next question will go to Riley. Now, both of you are both active members in Greek life, correct?
Correct.
And we remember the controversies of last year's SGA election. So my question to you, Riley, is how much influence do you think that the Greek system has over SGA?
I feel as though Greek life has an equal representation as non-Greek. Being someone who's Greek, I understand that my participation in Greek life has helped me incredibly with my leadership abilities, but I feel as though it does not define who I am. I think my involvements in SGA over the past 3 years and my other organizations have gotten me to that point, and I feel as though that represents SGA as well. That when we come in this room, we're not Greek and non-Greek. We're SGA senators. We're SGA officers.
Okay. Zach, 30-second rebuttal.
Riley's exactly right. As a Greek, that never comes into my mind. I never make a decision based off of me being Greek. I make it based off of decisions that I've had in my life and what would best suit the students. And I think that's what matters, of course, more than anything, is representing the students. Whether they're Greek, non-Greek, traditional, or non-traditional students, I think we just need to represent them well whenever we come into an SGA meeting, and that's what really matters.
Okay. Well, that's going to wrap up the hot seat questions, and now we're going to move over to social media, and later we'll take questions from the audience. So the first question that comes from social media comes from Cole Manders, and he tweets, how well do you think you've balanced academic success with campus involvement? Riley, let's shoot this to you.
I think that I have balanced academic success and campus involvements very well. I did go through a phase where I was in the wrong major, and unfortunately I learned the hard way, but it also taught me that school does come first, and finding where you fit in your academics is essentially critical to your success as a student. I believe that being a student comes first before campus involvements, that I feel as though my campus involvements are here to supplement my education and my college experience, not to override my higher education.
Okay. Zach? Oh, there you go.
I think I've done a really great job of balancing it. I have a 3.45 GPA. I'm active with my major. I'm active with my minor, political science and criminal justice. I think that everything that I've done with all the other student groups that I've been fortunate enough to work with has done nothing but supplement my education. It's allowed me to meet people who have helped me better my academics and really teach me new things, new opinions, and new ways of learning that have really benefited me in the long run. So I think my involvements have actually made me a better student.
Okay, and Zach, really quickly, we have a question that is just for you that comes from Twitter. James Coley would like to ask you, how would you improve campus involvement if you're elected?
I think as the SGA president, you need to be a definite face and a definite force at all the meetings for students. Obviously, you can't make every single one, but I think previous presidents, including Parker and Mr. Al Green, who's in the crowd, have done a great job of representing the students and being seen. That's something that needs to continue and needs to be able to balance between all the official business and still being a face for the university and being seen and being an asset to the students at all times.
Okay. Riley, the next question comes for you via Facebook from Sean Ramsey. Okay. They ask, why don't we have a flexible meal plan where you can make your own meal plan?
I think the issue with the flexible meal plan is definitely working with dining services on that. What's hard with the flexible meal plan is getting enough students to choose a flexible meal plan, and also there are mandatory limits for freshmen and sophomores on the meal plan they have a week, but that's also in a safeguard for students to not go hungry. A lot of times our first year on campus is our first year out of our house, out of our parents' house. We're kind of on our own. We're responsible for ourselves.
Lead paint poisoning affects 1 million children today. If you're pregnant or have young children and your home was built before 1978, you could be at risk. Learn how to protect your family. To find your home's danger zones, the health effects, or just to find help, log on to leadfreekids.org.
My name is Fernanda. I'm the wife of a teacher. Budget cuts affected my husband's salary, so I'm picking up some part-time work. We're doing everything we can to make sure our kids eat today. Tomorrow, I just don't know. Fernanda, how'd I do?
Well, I usually fold the underwear first.
I meant the acting, but good to know.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
I know, 2 seconds. Hang on, just stand still. Stand still.
Boys, hang on, boys!
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
And now we will turn it over to our studio audience. Let's see who would like to speak first. Remember to make sure that you announce your name and what college you're in.
Hi, my name is Patrick Collins. I'm with the Arts and Sciences. My question to our candidates for the president are, with the student forum of SGA, how are you going to drum up more support and actually hear from actual students?
Okay. Zach, we'll go to you first since Riley had the last one.
I think that plays into the last question of being able to be a presence in the student activities arena while still being the president, still fulfilling all my duties. I love student activities. I love going to meetings. I love being around all the students and getting to see that. And this is something, being a candidate has really let me enjoy what I've been doing. This has been a lot of fun. I've been able to meet with a lot of groups and continue to meet with groups that have really opened my eyes to some different things at USA. The best thing I can say is just always look for something. If there's not a club,
finish your sentence.
For you, you can make it.
Okay. Riley, 30-second rebuttal.
I think with getting students to Student Forum is creating a buzz about it. I think the reason that a lot of students don't come is that they don't know it's available to them. And letting students know that there is Student Forum available for them to present what they want, to say what they want, to let us hear what they're feeling is essentially critical. And especially with social media networking, creating a buzz on social media network. It says that we have 6 degrees of separation in the world. Imagine what we can do with Facebook and Twitter, even though I'm Twitterless. But I think just letting people know that is an option.
Okay. All right. Do we have another student audience member question? Remember your name and college, please.
My name is Tiffany Lee, and I'm from the College of Education. And a lot of students have been talking about the change-ups in the Student Center. What exactly is being done, and when is this going to start happening?
Okay. Riley, this question will go to you.
While I don't know the official details of where we are in the bidding and contracting process that has to happen for renovations on campus, we have, as an SGA officer board, talked with Dr. Krista Harrell, who is over that. And the biggest thing that students can do right now is to gather questions, bring those questions to administration, ask them, when is this going to happen? When are what are the sorry. What's there for the students?
Okay. 30-second rebuttal, Zach.
I think the main thing students need to do is put pressure on the administration and on the faculty and say, what's happening? Why is it taking this long? It's our money. We want answers. And that's the thing. It's been closed since my freshman year, and frankly, I'd like to see it open back up. It's a big asset to the school, and it's something that needs to be here. And it's a big void that we need to have filled, and it'll improve everything once we have it back. Student activities, SGA, involvement on campus, because that's a central place where all the students can come together and work together in fellowship.
Okay. Do we have any more student audience members who'd like to ask a question? Okay. Let's go right here in the black shirt. Name and college.
My name is Rachel Doctor, and I am in the College of Arts and Sciences. I was actually going to ask a question about the Student Center for my first question, but you just answered it. So I'll hit on a question with the campus involvement about Greek life, since, Greek, yes, it is pretty balanced on the representation between non-Greek and Greek, but I think as a student, we all know that the Greeks are usually the ones that vote the most. So how in campus involvement would someone as SGA president get more non-Greeks to vote so it's more equal during the election?
Great question, Rachel. Zach, this question will go to you.
I think this year our SGA Elections Committee has done a fantastic job with their Get Out the Vote incentive. That's something I'd like to see continued and amped up throughout the year. It's something of a manner of just being involved, reading the emails. You don't always want to. There's a lot of them, but when it comes to this time of the year, you really have to look for that. Being involved like everyone is here tonight, and thank you all for being here once again, it shows interest, and that's the thing. We have to relay that to our fellow students, that is important. We also have to engage our non-traditional students who make up a rather big portion
Finish your sentence.
Of the campus.
Okay. Riley, 30-second rebuttal.
I think as far as getting non-Greek students out to vote is getting non-Greek students to run. That's another thing, is making them aware that we want equal representation of the student body. I, as a Greek member, I would love to see numbers go up in campus involvement, student organization, campus leadership roles of non-Greeks, because I think that both Greek and non-Greek bring exceptional assets to the table, and we do look at things differently. And so I think it's getting people to push for more involvement.
Okay. All right. Let's go right here in the white shirt. Name and college, please.
Hi, my name is Sean Ramsey. I'm with the College of Engineering. And my question is, oftentimes SGA is often defined by what is accomplished that year, whether it be football, bylaws revision, or a Grand Senate project. Oftentimes it falls on the president to develop and push this issue. What would you want your year to be defined by?
Okay. Riley, this question will go to you first.
I think what I want to see is the students' accomplishments being recognized, being published, and I think Parker has done an exceptional job this year with having a great professional working relationship with the Vanguard, who a lot of our students reach to for information on campus, and letting students know through the Vanguard what's going on, who's doing what, not just within SGA, but on campus, that students are making a difference in our university, in their classes, and on campus generally.
Okay. Zach, 30-second rebuttal.
I would like for everyone to be able to look back on my hopeful presidency and say that I represented the students well and that the SGA did a fantastic job of doing so, that we reached out, that we were able to involve more Greeks and non-Greeks and traditional and non-traditional students, something that Parker has done a fantastic job this year with appointments of some of our non-traditional students. I'd also really like to embrace our veterans on campus, seeing as we have over 1,000 veterans currently at South Alabama. That's something I really would like to see better represented, because a lot of the funding from the state and federal levels comes from them. And so I really want to see them represented.
Okay. Any other student audience questions? Let's go back here. We'll get you, Vakash, don't worry. Name and college, please.
Hi, my name is Jacob Taylor. I'm with the School of Computing. My question is, what will be the first campus-wide issue you will want to tackle in office?
Okay. Zach, this question will go to you first.
The first thing I'd like to see is improved retention for our freshmen and also safety. I think a reason that a lot of freshmen end up leaving is that they don't feel comfortable, they don't feel at home at South, and I really want to make those freshmen see that South Alabama is a home for them. It is a residential community where they can come and they can feel safe and they can be out and about on campus at all times and not feel threatened. So I would like to see us move towards a process of having students, making students feel safe. I'd like to see more representation of not just the USAPD, but of an auxiliary police force run by students who could escort other students across campus.
Okay, Riley, 30-second rebuttal.
What I would really like to see on campus is to bridge the gap between administration and students. A lot of times it falls on the leaders of the three primary organizations on campus, the Vanguard, SGA, and JAG Productions, to be the liaisons between the student body and administration. And I really think that that's an issue, seeing that the majority of our student body don't know who our administrators are. And I feel as though the more we bridge the gap, the more students will understand why administrators make the decisions that they make and why students want the things that they want.
Okay. All right. Any other student questions? We'll go Vikash and then we'll go to you, Colin. Colin, step up.
Colin Algreen, Mitchell College of Business. What specific steps will you take to increase attendance at USA events, particularly sporting events, and things such as the new museum they opened or Jaguar Productions events? Thank you.
Great question. Zach, this question goes to you first.
We've talked about social media a lot tonight, and I think that's something that's going to continue to grow and expand. I'd also like to see more students look to the Vanguard for events. Jaguar Productions does a fantastic job through Twitter and Facebook of putting out what they have. As far as with athletic events, I think this year with the addition of last year with the addition of the decks in the outfield, I think student attendance at baseball games has gone up tremendously. I'd like to see more people at the softball games, at the volleyball games. We have great teams out there, and we just need to know to support them. The biggest thing we can do to that is, be that student that goes out first and then invite people with you and let them know that it is worth it.
Riley, 30-second rebuttal.
I agree with Zach that social media plays a huge role in things. I've seen what social media networking can do, and especially because not every single one of us is in touch with other students, but I think it's especially critical to get the students who aren't on campus, whose residence is not on campus, to come back after class to make the most of their college experience. And I think that starts with not just the SGA president talking with other organization presidents, but it's also creating interpersonal relationships with people and just encouragement and motivation.
Okay. Vikash?
Hey, my name is Vikash Pernenkil, and I'm in the College of Arts and Sciences. And my question is, the topic of a wet campus came up earlier. I was just wondering what the the candidates' opinions were on that.
Okay, great question. Riley, we'll go to you first. Zach will come to you for a 30-second rebuttal. Riley?
I'm not going to state my personal opinion, but I do feel as though the majority of students do want a wet campus. To the best of my knowledge, if I'm recalling correctly, when the Mitchell Center was built, there was an agreement. This is what I believe, an agreement made between the Mitchell family and the university that the campus needed to stay dry for 25 years to have that building. And I know that we are within that 25-year period. And so the topic of a wet campus is something that we really have to work with who's funding the university and who's funding our buildings and our campus organizations and discuss it with them.
Okay. Zach?
The biggest thing I could say is for the students to make it an issue. If you want the campus wet, then bring something to me as your student representative, as your SGA president. Bring me some numbers. Bring me something that I can present. I'd love to see several groups on campus work together on a project to be able to take the SGA president and present to administration and say, listen, this is the benefit that can happen from this happening. Once those administrators are able to see the students' needs and what they want from the campus, I think that'll have a huge impact on their decision making, especially in that issue.
Okay. Any other student questions? All right, at this time, I'm going to give each of you 1 minute to give your final words. We'll go ladies first. Riley, please give your 1 minute final words of why students at South Alabama should vote for you.
I I believe that students at South Alabama should vote for me because I'm a team player. I honestly have the best interest of the student body at heart. I have served on SGA for the past 3 years, and a big part with my past job as USA Chief Justice, I have definitely had to maintain objectivity, and I think it's important not to get overwhelmed with your own thoughts and beliefs, but to make sure that you're communicating well and clearly and efficiently with students, not just student leader organizations, but students in the cafeteria, students in the library, students in your classes, finding out what they need, and then working together with your officer board, utilizing the resources that you have to make those things something that we can change, make those into projects, find the right incentives, find the right resources, do initiatives like the Go Vote initiative that's being done this year. And I think that's the most critical part, is really pulling the campus together.
Okay. Zach?
I feel that I bring a unique skill set to the position. I have a very diverse upbringing. I've been able to do a lot of things while I've been at South Alabama, not just with SGA, but with housing, Greek life, and many other capacities, and been able to help with a lot of student organizations. I think the biggest thing we need is advocacy. I think that I should serve as a lobbyist to the administrators from the student body, and that's something with Higher Education Day and being Attorney General. I've worked with the school's actual lobbyist, Happy Fulford, and been able to see how it works on the state level. And this is something I know how to do. I'm able to do this. I can take what you want from me. This isn't just about what I can do, what I'm going to do, this, that, and the other. It's about what you want me to do. I'm not going to get up here and make promises because I want to know what you want from me. I'm going to fulfill every obligation that's put before me, but what I want at the end of the day is for students to say, Zach Gosa-Lewis stood up for the students, did what they needed, represented what they wanted, and was an advocate for the whole campus.
Thank you. And that concludes the 2013 SGA Candidates Forum. Thank you to all who participated online and in our student audience. The Elections Committee would also like to thank JAG TV for producing tonight's event and the Vanguard for assisting us with the social media questions. This event would not have been possible without either of you. Remember, your vote counts. Voting begins Monday, March 25th and ends on Wednesday, March 27th. Ballots will be distributed via your JagMail accounts. If you have any issues, please email jaguarelections@gmail.com. Lastly, we'd like to wish all the candidates good luck in the election. Thank you and good night.